So in our last video, we finished modeling our car. And in this video, we're going to quickly rig this up so we can animate it and do some animation on it. So first thing I want to do is I want to name these parts of the car. So we'll call this body. Okay. I'll call this F tire for front, and this R tire for back. Okay. So we have these three parts now, and if I wanted to animate them, I guess I could just grab them all and move them all around together. But eventually, I'm going to accidentally miss, and I want to do something like this, and I'm like, oh crap, you know, that's such frustrating. So what I really want is just to be able to select the car with a single object. Okay. And so let's talk about hierarchy. So I have the body and these two tires, right? Let's think of how these would work, similar to a file structure inside of your computer, right? So let's say you had a bunch of folders inside of your computer, right? And one was named body, and one was named F tire, and one was named R tire, right? If I just grabbed the body folder to move it over to a jump drive or something, and I moved it, right, well, I shouldn't expect those two to go with it. Right? That's not how that would work. Right? However, if these two were in a folder inside of that body folder, right, then when I move the body of the car, then I should expect those two to go with it. Right? That's just how a folder structure would work. Now, what I did there to move those is I just grabbed them, held control to select them both, and then I middle clicked, I pressed down on my mouse scroll wheel and dragged that onto the body. Okay. So that would work, right? And that's how every folder structure kind of works, right? If I made these three balls, that's what we would expect to happen here too, right? Independently, ball 2 is not going with 1, 2, or 3. But if ball 2 was underneath 1, then it's going to go with it. But I can move ball 1 around independently still yet. Or I'm sorry, ball 2 around independently still yet, right? Because it's a child of sphere 1. So when I move the parent, sphere 1, the child's going to go with it. But when I move the child, the parent, is not affected, right? And then if I moved sphere 3 underneath it, then, we get that same connection with all of them, right? So we can leverage that to sort of create an animatable object here, right? And so what I want to do is I just want to have one object I can grab that moves all three of these. So I'm going to go to curves. I'm just going to click that curve and scale this up. Okay? And so this will be our CARCTRL, car control. Okay? And I'm just going to select these three. I'm just going to middle click and drag those on top of the car control. Now here's the thing to recognize. I just need to select this ring. If you do this, you are selecting the ring and the three objects inside of the ring. And so then if I move those around, we get that, and that's really messed up, right? So just be careful and only select the ring. That's why we create the ring. Now the point of doing that is I can now animate this driving around, but I can also animate the car doing a little bobble if I wanted to as it's driving, right? Or if for some reason I needed the front tires to come off, I could, right? All of those things are still separate. Okay, so now I have this little car rig that I can animate. I'm just going to grab, this is something you could do if you wanted. I could grab the car mesh, not the ring itself, and put that in its own layer. We could call that car mesh, right? Hit save. And then I can lock that if I wanted to by setting that to R. And now I don't accidentally select that mesh. I only select the ring whenever I want to animate. Right? So let's turn the bridge back on and I'm going to go ahead and set it to R as well. And that means the only thing I'm really able to select in this scene is that ring. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of go off to the side, and we're going to work on something really quick, just so we can talk about how this will work. Actually, we'll go up to the top. Okay, I have this ball. Let's say I wanted to animate this ball moving from this side of the screen to this side of the screen. Okay? And that's what I'm going to do. Let's talk about what that means. Currently, while this ball is here, we can see information about its location here. It's at 0, it's on translate X, 63 on Y, 23 on Z, right? And it's on frame 1. And so what we're saying is right now it's at that location. And if I scrub my timeline, it's at that location at all times, right? Because I've moved it there. But what I want it to be is I want it to be at this location on frame 1, and I want it to be at a different location on frame 120, right? I want it to be at that location, this -15 on frame 20. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make Maya generate that change over time. So I'm going to say, on frame 1, I want you to stay here. So I'm going to hit the S key, and that sets a keyframe. And you'll notice what happens is everything turns red, and I get this little red tick at the bottom. Okay, that little red tick is our keyframe, and everything turns red to let us know that we've set a marker in time on these attributes. Okay, now what I could do is say, okay, I'm going to go to frame 120, and then I'm going to move over to here, and I'm like, alright, I moved it on frame 120, and now when I scrub my timeline, it just pops back to where my keyframe was, which is what I told it to do. I told it to stay there, and I never really told it to make another keyframe for that change. Okay, so if I want it to move over that time, I have to go to frame 120, and I have to move it, and I have to hit S again. So now there's two markers in time. There's the one here, and the one here. Right? And so if I scrub my timeline, Maya will just try to figure out what's happening in between there. Okay, so let's say what I really wanted though is I wanted it to dip in the middle. I wanted it to, sort of dip down low and come back up to here. And I move that down. I'm like, okay, there. And then I scrub, and it pops back up. I was like, oh crap! I keep forgetting to set the keyframe, right? So there's a feature in here that will automatically set that keyframe for you when you move it, and it's this little auto key button. You probably saw me turn that off earlier because I didn't want to show you that too early. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on. And now you'll see that when I move my object down, watch what happens to my channel box. It set a keyframe, but it just set it on my translate Y. It didn't change the Z or the X, and that's not always a good thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit S to set a keyframe on everything. Sometimes it's all right, but in this case, like I really wanted to make sure that keyframe is set on all of those channels. And now Maya's going to do that. But the one thing it won't do is, if I move that down and started scrubbing, it wouldn't lose the things that I did change, right? So if I want this to, what being an animator is in Maya is making Maya make that change happen the way you want it to, right? Make this look like it's arcing down, and then maybe we could even have it arc back up, right? Right? And so this is what we're aiming at with animation. Now let's go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to go back out to our bridge. And so to do some animation with our car, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to frame 1, make sure I'm on frame 1. I'm going to move our car up to our starting position where I want it to be starting over here. Okay, sort of frame that up, get it on the right side of the road, correct side of the road. And I'm just going to hit S on frame 1. I go to frame 120, move it all the way to the end, hit S again. So now you'll see that we have our car just kind of driving across the road. Now, a couple people pointed out that it feels like the car's pulling out, and they wanted it to look like it was already driving. If we click this button here, we're going to pop up our graph editor. And so basically, we have this change happening over time in these channels. This graph editor graphs out that change over time. Currently, the only real change we have is our translate Z, right? Our Z is going from this number to this number, right? And this graph is showing that happen. It's going from that number to that number, 26 to 28, right? Or negative 26 to positive 28. And so what we'll see is that that change slowly starts happening and then speeds up. And then it comes back into this, it slows down. And so if we wanted to change that, we can actually grab these handles and adjust it. Or in this case, the easier answer would be to just grab both of them and set those tangents to linear, which is this angled line. Right? And so now we have this car that just drives a steady pace all the way across the road. Right? Now again, if I wanted to make some changes to this, like I wanted it to swerve in the middle, maybe I would set another keyframe there, set a keyframe there, and then maybe here, set a keyframe. Here I would maybe angle it, and then here I would angle it again back to that point. And so, right, has to dodge this block in the road, right? And so now when we watch that, you can see, right, and this is it. And if I wanted to view this without that curve, I can go to Show and uncheck NURBS Curves. Now if I want to make a quick animation preview of this, I can right click on my timeline and go to Play Blast. I'm going to check this little box at the end. These are the changes I always make to it. I set format to QuickTime. I set my encoding to H264, turn my quality, my scale all the way up, and I make sure to save changes. And what's going to do is it's going to save that now in the movies folder of our project, Bridge, right? And so that's why we do that. I'm going to hit Play Blast. Okay, that's fine. It's going to generate that, and then it should pop up a video of us for us to watch it. So let's see how that works. For some reason the video is not popping up, but it probably will here in a minute. It'll just take it a while. So, alright, so that's the way we work on that. Do the animation. I'll come back and do another quick video here in a few minutes about some of the basic materials and lighting. So talk to you soon. Bye bye.